Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, you might want to hold your applause before you hear the show. This is going to be a bummer, but some serious stuff already happened today. There was a press conference from the team behind Karmelo Anthony. That's the guy that allegedly, reportedly stabbed Austin Metcalf at the track meet now 2 weeks ago up in Frisco. And some totally unnecessary drama, but the whole thing is going to disappoint you. I have tons of audio, and I'm not going to play the whole hour-long press conference, but I did break it up into biteable chunks here. First, before we even got started with the press conference, there was drama. Now, we were waiting because there was a bunch of TV stations, everyone going live, and I was watching on the live stream for our news partner, WFAA. I was watching on there, WFAA.com. Great job, guys. And like most press conferences, it was starting late, but this one was going even later than usual. And then we learned that Austin Metcalf's dad was there. And so then the team for Karmelo Anthony, who I don't think was even in the building or present at the location, said that we're not going to start this press conference until he leaves. So they asked him if he would leave, and he said, no, this is a public press conference. I have a right to be here. And so then they called the cops, and the cops are like, he has a right to be here. So they had to call the owner of the building, and the owner of the building says, okay, I don't want him here. And so then it becomes criminal trespassing if he chooses to stay after that. So he voluntarily left with no greater incident. But this is before the press conference even started. WFAA was covering it live.
And we are bringing you back here on WFAA Plus to the Next Generation Action Network office in Dallas, where we were expected to hear from the family of Karmelo Anthony at about 11 o'clock. It's about 20 minutes past the hour. And we are told that this delay is because unexpectedly, the father of the victim in this case, Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, has arrived. He's standing there behind that camera. You can kind of see his shoulder there in a blue shirt. We're told that Mr. Metcalf was asked to leave. He has refused to leave. He is still standing there. We're told that Dallas police have been called. If you are unfamiliar with this case, or if you just need to be caught up on it.
Yeah, so there was drama, and this is unusual. It's normal to see a press conference start late. There were some people reporting that the dad was there, and there was cameras on him, and he was just chilling in a blue shirt and his sunglasses. And I understand them wanting him to leave. Tell you what, if anyone ever knifes my kid in the heart, you probably don't want to be in the same room as me either. You might just want to keep a good distance from me. You know, I respect due process and all that, but you're really tempting fate. And then another weird thing happened before the press conference even got started that kind of made me skeptical. Like, this is more of a clown show, because I don't think this guy's actually going to be. Is he even the lawyer, Dominic Alexander, or is he just the activist, the political activist in that Next Generation Action Network? And it's clearly modeled after the National Action Network, like who's that, Sharpton or whatever. And it's got the Africa colors in the background. So we know what this is all about. This is going to be 100% race card and a little bit of attitude. And check this out. Before the press conference starts, like 12 minutes before the press conference starts, he comes out and he gives like a little warning to the media. And this is not normal either. You know how many press conferences I've been to? Oh, that's a good time to mess up on me. Make me look like a fool. Is that not going to work? No, it's not going to work. Well, I will just reload it then. But he comes out and he says, listen, we take our security very serious. We don't play. I'm going to ask you one time to move some of this over by the wall. And if I have to tell you again, you will be asked to leave. And just I want to stress again that we don't play. It's like, how many times are you going to say we don't play? That makes it kind of hard to take you serious. Doesn't sound like you're being a serious person. Here we go.
Speaking to public and holding a press conference regarding this particular case. Now, the Next Generation Action Network will talk about Frisco ISD, but we will not do this. I will not ask this mother to do this again. The attorney will not. We won't do this again. Don't ask. We will see you at trial. Whatever venue that is, we will see you there. I stand 10 toes down supporting this family. And I want to thank all of the community leaders and people that I have seen that have came here today. Bishop.
Yeah. So It was not very pretty. I was trying to count how many times he played the race card, and it was quite a few. Let's see. I think I got 7 race cards in there, and it ended with a big screed about how the community needs to be united. And he's talking pretty specifically about people based on the color of their skin. He let the mom speak for a while. And listen, I have a ton of audio. We'll get to most of this before you stop listening to the show. Just stick around. But the one thing that you heard in the news that I wanted you to catch you up on, because Mike Traina just reported it there a few minutes ago, is they have a message for Frisco ISD in the fact that they don't like the idea that he may be expelled. You know, he hasn't been convicted of a crime. I get that. You guys are big fans of due process, I guess. And so I don't know what the argument is there. He should be allowed to finish the school year, even though he knifed someone to death. Like, we don't know if it's murder. It may be self-defense. But still, even if it is self-defense, you got a guy that snuck a knife into a school event. He used it to take someone else's life. You could understand why maybe the school would frown on that. You know, I got Saturday school for being tardy to first period 3 times. I got sent to in-school suspension quite a few times. One time for getting on the roof. That's kind of my high water mark. But you don't think it's a reasonable move by the school to expel the stabbing one? So we didn't get a real adult conversation at this press conference. We got a bunch of race cards. We got a bunch of people trying to push back against criticism that they've seen online, on Twitter, on Instagram, and whatnot. They wanted to stress over and over and over that they haven't spent any of the money from the funds that were raised for the defense. But they never actually say, well, we didn't move into a bigger house or we didn't buy this other car. They didn't deny that those moves had been made. They just denied that they were made with the Give, Send, Go money, which leaves the door wide open. Well, yeah, if you're expecting $500,000 over here, maybe you'll break the bank on a car from your own money, or maybe there's people who give you a line of credit knowing you'll get that money, or, you know, the banks are sometimes convinced by paperwork, hey, I've got these assets over here that I'm going to be able to access in like 5 business days. You want to go ahead and start this car loan, or who knows? Maybe it was loaned to him by some activist. Maybe it was loaned to him by a friend or something to that effect. But they never denied getting the new house and the new car, which I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying these are the rumors that are out there. And so they went out there to dispel internet rumors, fuss at Frisco High School, and play the race card a few times. They didn't actually tell you how this was self-defense. They didn't tell you anything about the details of what happened that day. This was a 100% PR move. And I don't think it was very helpful to the cause. But I'm gonna sprinkle in little sound bites here and there to kind of fill out more of what's going on, because I was being really reductive there. Wait till you hear some of these race cards. It is unbelievable. But coming up next, we have the legal analyst of the James Show, Jeremy Rosenthal, is going to come on to talk about the legal questions that I have, and I guess you have now, about the dad being there and being asked to leave and what all they are and are not allowed to talk about. So we'll get some expertise from a lawyer coming up next on the James Show. Breaking news. In the shooting at Florida State, we now have 1 person that was reported dead and 6 others injured. They were just saying 6 injured on the screen for like the last hour. And then Bruce just ran that in there that we do have a fatality now. So now that story just got worse. Stick around. We'll cover all this on the James Show. Jeremy Rosenthal next. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. There's a big press conference held by the defense team behind Karmelo Anthony, the guy that's accused of stabbing to death Austin Metcalf at the Frisco track meet a couple weeks ago. And some drama was had before the event even started. Austin Metcalf's dad was there. And Jeremy Rosenthal is going to help answer some of the questions that I would know if I'd gone to law school. Jeremy Rosenthal from TexasDefenseFirm.com. Welcome back on. He has a right to be there, doesn't he?
He does. He does. It's America. He's got the freedom to be there. It's certainly an emotional time for everybody, but yeah, legally, nothing wrong with him being there.
And on the other side, I can understand why they would not want to start the press conference until he left. So I kind of understand both sides there, but there wasn't anything legally stopping him from being there.
No, and in my understanding, and so Karmelo Anthony has got home arrest, so he's probably at home, ought to be at home right now. So I don't think he was at the press conference. He's not allowed to be around anybody from the Metcalf family, from the victim's family.
Right. So
yeah.
If Karmelo had got an exception to leave the house and be at the press conference, would the onus be on the dad to leave, or the onus be on Karmelo to not attend?
I think if Karmelo was there and the father shows up, I think Karmelo would have to leave. The dad's not under any court orders, and if the dad does that, then he's not doing anything wrong. And this kind of happens sometimes. We have all sorts of cases in domestic violence cases and abuse cases where somebody is on bond and they're ordered not to be around somebody else, and you run into them in Kroger. What do you do? I mean, it happens. So you got to tuck tail and be out of there as quick as you can. That's how that works.
All right. So nothing illegal there, but something that doesn't happen at normal press conferences. Also, is this guy that was speaking, is he even a lawyer? Because he didn't sound like he was a lawyer.
So I watched part of it, and I know there's a handful of speakers there. I don't know. I know that Karmelo Anthony's mom spoke. I know he's got a spokesman. I don't know that that's Carmelo's lawyer. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with everybody who he had talked, but my understanding is that they've got a handful of folks on that team that are kind of family. The mom gave a very passionate speech, talked about her family, her safety, her family's safety. Didn't take any swipes at the Metcalfs or that. So that part I did see, and that part is, they're trying to get the word out that, look, everybody needs to kind of lower the temperature here.
So I see a lot of people commenting online that this is someone trying to taint the jury pool. Now, that probably carries a little more legal weight if it comes out of the mouth of a lawyer, but I think people like to throw that around. What is tainting the jury pool, and does this measure up to that metric?
This is a high publicity case, and you're going to get that. We live in a big metropolitan area where these cases are in the media and they get covered, and people are conversational about it. It only gets to be an issue where people start forming opinions one way or another. And in Collin County, we can have a jury pool that's 1,000 people deep if we have to do it, or maybe 500 people deep. I don't know that they want me speaking for them, but you can cycle through an awful lot of people, and it may be that venue does need to be changed. I don't know that they're at this point, given the level of publicity that this has had, the nationwide publicity that this case has had. It's kind of, you're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, if the jury pool's tainted, this wasn't what did it.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So there's nothing he's doing wrong from a legal standpoint where he's trying to taint the jury pool. I mean, because I guess someone would want it maybe moved to another jurisdiction if they thought they would get a more favorable jury. Is that at risk here?
Yeah, that's what you would do to change the venue. And I didn't hear a whole lot in the press conference about the facts of it. I didn't hear a whole lot of, well, no, here's what our defense is, and here's where this guy was standing, and that's where the knife actually was. What I heard was, we're getting death threats. We don't feel safe. We've got a family too. We're praying for the victim and their family. Can everybody just kind of chill out? So I have a real hard time thinking that type of information is going to really taint the pool.
Well, a lot of people are pointing out some alleged, I don't even know if they're true, but purchases by the family. And legally speaking, why does anyone care if it's people that are donating to their defense fund, if they want to go spend it on a car or whatever? There's nothing wrong with that, legally speaking, is there?
There might be. I mean, it could be fraud if that was happening. The mother made very clear that they didn't even have access to the money quite yet. And I don't know how GoFundMe works, and probably there's some rules and red tape, and it's probably not as easy as, hey, cut me a check for all this money. And I'd be surprised if that money I'd be surprised if there were any kind of shenanigans, but I don't think you can raise funds for purpose X and then pay it for purpose Y. I think you could. That'd be a good way to get indicted for fraud. But I think the family also made very clear that that's unsubstantiated as well.
Well, look, if you know that you're about to come into $500,000, you may have some existing cash that you go out and buy a car with, because the only thing they really addressed on the purchases that the money didn't come from, they don't have the give, send, go money yet. And, if there was some additional security or cars or change of residence, that this was all for security purposes. So I don't think they're ever going to come under anything legal negatively from spending the money how they see fit.
I mean, you would think that you would hope that whatever the people who gave the money gave it for the legal defense or support of the family or whatever was advertised with that campaign, right? As long as that money is used consistently with that, I don't know that. Look, I don't think it's anybody's place to have a problem with it. This family. Look, I mean, the mom, the family. These people didn't do anything wrong to be in the position that they're in, and their son is facing a lot of problems. I mean, certainly their son is alive, which is tragically not something that the Metcalfs can say. But I think it's understandable that this thing hits them like a ton of bricks too. And really, kind of looking at the press conference, I mean, again, it not a lot of, and I didn't hear anything that said, that was trying to advance a legal point of view or a strategic point of view, other than, look, can we just sort of get along here? Can we just sort of put an end to, and there has been a lot of misinformation in this case, so much so that the authorities have gotten involved there and are investigating certain online posts. There's been, I read there's an investigation because the judge's personal information got let out there, and now the judge isn't feeling safe, and that's a huge problem.
I think this is going to be a mess, and it's only going to get worse. Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. Appreciate your expertise, sir.
All right, have a great day.
All right, coming up next, more highlights from the press conference from Karmelo Anthony, and there was also a press conference for the shooting at Wilmer Hutchins. We'll get you all caught up on everything. And the Florida State shooting as well. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, homeowners, on a long enough time scale, you're going to need a new roof, and you're going to have to find a good roofing company, and you're going to have to find someone you can trust. Don't get caught up in the scams and the horror stories. If you go through the news, you'll find that some lady was going to get a new roof on her house, so she paid half up front, and the guys never came back, or they did a terrible job, and now she can't find them, and that's the kind of thing that you're trying to avoid. Not only do you want to get a new roof, you want to get a new roof from the right people without being scammed, without being harmed. And that's what Blue Ribbon Roofing does for you. 31 years in North Texas. Is that enough for you? It's a family-owned business. This isn't a franchise of some international conglomerate. This is John and Tish. They put this together. Their son Trevor works with them. They've been doing it for 31 years, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. And God forbid, if something does happen, they'll be there to actually honor their warranty and not just disappear into the night after they've got your money. So go to blueribbondfw.com, look through the hundreds of 5-star Google reviews, and then you can take advantage of the offer if you do need a new roof. They will put a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade on it if you mention you heard it on WBAP. If you just need to get your roof checked out, they'll do that absolutely free. So no reason not to go there. BlueRibbonDFW.com. BlueRibbonDFW.com.
You won't find more ways to raise a glass of Texas-made cheer than right here, because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process.
Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. A very emotional press conference was held today by Karmelo Anthony's team. It was led and hosted by Dominic Alexander from the Next Generation Action Network. And I think the most heart-tugging part of the press conference was when the mom got up there, the mom for Karmelo Anthony. I'm just going to let you evaluate this yourself because I'm going to play some stuff and then you're going to hear a lot of skepticism out of your old host, but I don't know if you're going to be with me on this or not. I think you will. Let's start at the very beginning. Something you and I talk about on the show regularly is whether it was this one or like the Wilmer Hutchins school shooting. You know, one of the ways you get to the bottom of this and try to not get it to happen, or at least get it to happen as little as possible. We're a human endeavor. There's going to be mistakes. Is find out what's the origin of the problem. When you put up metal detectors and clear backpacks, you're not stopping the killers from being created. You're just hindering their ability to kill on campus. And so you're not actually, you're treating the symptom and not the disease. You're not actually curing anything. You're just adapting to it. And so in a lot of these stories, this one included, we're like, well, I wonder what his home life was like. I wonder if he was abused. I wonder if he was raised by his biological mother and father. You know, that's something that comes up because the statistics on it are so stark. I don't know why it's not a more popular approach to take, because it does take all this just icky racial angle off of it. But let's go to the mom part of the press conference. This was happening about noon while you were eating lunch.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes.
Oh, stop. There you go. All right, first clue. Different last name, so no. There's a husband back there. I guess it's her current husband now, but different last name. So here we have the situation. All right, we're starting from a broken home, so they're solidifying some cultural question marks. But all right, let's just go ahead with the press conference, see what she has to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, We wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us.
What does this assume victimhood? To give them the future you didn't have. You live in Frisco. That's kind of nice. That's one of the nicest places to live in a pretty nice metropolitan area. You're having a hard time over there? You probably live in a more expensive house than I do. I mean, at least now, but you live in Frisco. That's Pleasantville almost. You're not an oppressed. All right. I'll let her speak. Hang on.
To make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way.
Stay-at-home mom, huh? Yeah, you got life real tough. That's the position most of us would love to be in. For a couple of years there, my wife got to be a stay-at-home mom. And it was just until our bank account dwindled back down to 4 figures. But it was the ideal. I wish we could have kept it up. You're living the dream that most of us would trade places with right now. I mean, not with all the other details, but the stay-at-home mom part sounds pretty good. Let me skip forward to the part to where she gets real emotional here, where she didn't technically do anything wrong in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. I guess there's an indirect blame on her for raising the kid that's capable of plunging the knife into the heart of a fellow student for getting his arm grabbed. But I mean, there's a little bit of sympathy here in the fact that she doesn't deserve all kinds of threats and attention because of what her son did, but she just takes it a little too far and takes just the wrong angle on it.
My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what might happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false.
Well, all right. Did she get into did she rent a new home? Did she get a new car? I mean, did she ever even dispel that? What? She'll never say we didn't get into a new house or we didn't get a new car. That's false. She'll just say we didn't use the Give, Send, Go funds for the car or the house. That's it. So that's super suspicious there.
We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser.
Yeah, but what about the car? Did you get
and
a car?
The co-founder has stated that clearly.
Okay, but what about the new
rental?
rental?
In reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you say we didn't actually rent a new house or we didn't get a new car?
And it still takes several days to receive those funds once the request is
And then
made.
she moves on.
I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial.
Discriminated. Here we
Our
go.
son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to.
He's getting them.
He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do.
What about in the stabbing? Do you put God first in the stabbing? Notice how she said a 2-parent home, not biological mom and dad. Obfuscating here.
We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us.
Who are the laws not applying to?
We will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process.
All right. So they're taking the victimhood angle here. She's acting like she's the victim. That's not a good look. How about a little more deference? She did say, and I skipped over the part where her heart goes out to the family, the Metcalfs, but she doesn't sound like she's playing defense here. I don't know. A lot of that just rubbed me the wrong way. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. We'll keep parsing through this heartbreaking press conference next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, hockey fans, let's go. Playoffs, Stars are looking good, and you can cash in on the hockey playoffs with Prize Picks, the proud partner of the Dallas Stars. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the ice to your Prize Picks lineup. So whether it's goals or points or hits, or they even do time on the ice, you look at a statistic, you pick more or less, you build a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and you can now win up to 2,000 times your money. I know it sounds a little easy. Kind of is, actually. Go check it out. And if you're unsure about it, you can figure it out with our money. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP. You get $50 with your first $5 play. So download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP. And you'll get $50 to play with. You can turn that into real money and then withdraw it and be a part of the extra fun you can have from America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks. Over 10 million active users, over $1 billion in awarded prizes, and you're already going to be watching the hockey playoffs, and you know the Stars are going to do good. Add a little bit more spice to the hockey that you're already loving with the Prize Picks app. Prize Picks, run your game. Hey there. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're going through this heartbreaking press conference from the Karmelo Anthony team. One more clip from the mom before I get to your calls here. This is the part where she was deferential to the family of the victim.
To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
800-288-9227. Let's talk to Alicia in Euless. You're on WBAP. What do you think about that press conference?
I had to turn it off and leave. That was too much for me. But what I just realized, so Mr. Alexander, the man that's representing them right now, he is the president of the Black Lives Matter. He's also been arrested for domestic violence, for violence on a child, and theft, and has been on probation. So it seems to me that this is only going to be the beginning.
Well, yeah, but listen, Alicia, I need you to be fair. There's a lot of sensitive people out there, and just because you give a baby a brain injury doesn't mean Karmelo Anthony's guilty.
No, I mean, I'm with you. It just, I don't know. It just, I have a weird feeling.
It's a hell of a caveat, though, isn't it? You don't have to say that about most lawyers, do you? Or most guys give it a look. Just because he beat a baby and it got a brain injury, you can't just assume that the stabbing guy's guilty. No. That's, I think.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just.
Alicia, let me ask you a simple question. Are they trying to create another George Floyd season? Is that what they're trying to do? Do they want this to turn into riots and division and a race war? Is that what they're trying to do?
I don't think they're trying to. It just makes me kind of, it's hard to.
Well, Alicia, I hear you hesitating. How about this? Would that be good for Dominic Alexander if this turned into another George Floyd?
No.
You don't think that would be good for him? That'd be the best thing that ever happened to his career. He would, he'd be a national figure. He'd be on MSNBC every other day. He would be like the Anthony Fauci of today's race war. All right. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate you calling.
That's it.
All right. Thank you. Lee, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Yes, hi. She's all about, saying that her household basically, they believe in the law and obeying the law and God and all that.
God comes first, sure.
What the heck? What the heck was he doing with the knife? Why did he take a knife to attract me? It should have been a fist fight at the very worst. My boss goes to church. Her family goes to church with the victim's family, and she says it's absolutely outrageous for them to be trying to play the race card. She said both of those boys have close friends who are black, and as far as privilege, why they're trying to do this. They're just the attorney, the press conference. It's all just trying to lead up to. They're just trying to set the tone for the racist.
Let me be as deferential as possible, and then as cynical as possible. As deferential as possible. What's he even doing with a knife? Well, I took a knife to school on quite a few occasions when I was a kid. Not because I wanted to get so stabby against my fellow man, but because I was raised on a farm, and every once in a while you'd have to open a feed sack or cut a lead rope or pop a string bells on a bale of hay or something. It was a useful tool that you actually had to have on your person. For reasonable people that lived on a horse ranch, carrying a knife's normal. I don't think that's his scenario, but that's me trying to be deferential. There are some instances when a kid can have a knife, and it doesn't mean he's a murderer. I'm not sure that's what happened here. That's just me being deferential. On the most cynical part, here's me being the most cynical, though, Lee, and this is ugly, but it's got to be thrown out there because a lot of people were thinking it. Hey, if you're already going to lose your kid to prison anyway for 30 years, you might as well throw the race card out there and raise a whole bunch of money. And it's like, what's the point of playing the race card? Well, it already got him $500,000, Lee. Let's see how high we can get that. So if, your kid's already going to go down the river, because one of the things I like about them, if they are spending this money frivolously on cars and houses or whatever, is every dollar that goes to a Cadillac Escalade isn't going to his actual defense. Every dollar that's spent on something that's, renting a house, these people are going to blow through it in 5 years. They're going to be flat broke. Their kid's going to go to jail anyway. And all this is doing is punishing the evil people who see this, feel the racial antipathy sympathy out of it and donated to it. You're just wasting the money of terrible people who would donate to a stabbing killer.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. So first of all, yeah, you can carry a knife if you're a farmer or whatever, farm boy, but not to a school-sponsored event.
Not a whole lot of horse ranches in Frisco.
And
yeah.
Second of all, the mother in that press conference, and I didn't hear it till I just heard it on your show, but she is trying hard not to like just go all off, postal rage in her voice. You can hear it. There's a couple of times where she is just about to lose it, and so that tells me that there's anger that boy has learned from anger. He's I think they probably have some anger issues in their family, because anybody that's doing a press conference to try to get you on board.
No, and
your household is.
We've all made that connection. Look, there's got to be something else going on, because most kids are not born with just the human capacity to plunge a knife into another kid's heart for such light and transient causes, if at all. So, yeah, I imagine there's some sort of trauma in this kid's background. I don't know. Maybe he was born a psychopath or a sociopath. 2% of us are. But, a lot of people share your skepticism. Thank you very much, Lee. More very emotional callers coming up next on The James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.
and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. So
This bigot.
thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
Y'all, I'm gonna show something up of a post. You come for me, I come for you. Sarah Fields. Never heard of this woman. This is the kind of despicable things that led to the father being here. Political operatives motivating this family with hate. Karmelo Anthony posted on something that shows, posted here. These are the type of lies that are threatening this family. Posting the family's picture. These are the type of lies. She's getting millions of views on this. Sarah, she's even came after me. She's even said all of those things. And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I asked, because these racist bigots tried to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Cal Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Cal Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody said anything. So since they tried to come for us, I call for the community's overwhelming support for this fund. The disinformation that was put out was literally deliberate to prevent you from helping this family. And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm gonna say this again, and this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to. I ain't pulling no race card, I live it. Of a post. I'm gonna show something up. Y'all, I asked, because these racist bigots tried to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, black people in America,
Hey, fellow Texans, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Our top story of the day, the Karmelo Anthony team hosts a press conference, and it's a political activist holding the press conference. It's not like the top defense attorney in DFW holding a press conference. It's a guy with a political network, the Next Generation Action Network. Oh, great. Great. This is what we're inserting into this. So you know exactly where it goes. Let me just play like a few seconds from the end of the press conference here, where, you know, there was some race cards implied at several occasions, and then it was just flat out dropped on several occasions as well.
Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to.
You got to, yeah.
I ain't pulling no race card. I live it.
What do you have to teach your kids? Hey, if someone grabs your arm, you better just knife them right in the heart. Is that what you have to teach your kids? Or if you teach your kids, hey, if you're going to kill someone, I think the lesson here, like between the Wilmer Hutchins shooting and the Frisco one, hey, as long as you kill someone who we hate based on the color of their skin, we can raise millions, $500,000 at least off of it. If you're gonna go to prison for killing somebody, make it worth your while, and kill outside of our political preferences. Is that what the lesson is here? What are you talking about? You're not the one getting stabbed in the heart. You're not the victim here. I don't know. That upsets me a little bit, doesn't it? 800-288-9227. Let's try Isaac in Fort Worth. Hey, Isaac, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Yeah, I understand your feelings, because in the past I've been upset when, Trayvon Martin was killed, and you guys questioned his parents' background, just like you're doing with Karmelo's background. You never question when Kyle Rittenhouse got $2 million, but you want to question the $500,000 and what the parents are doing with this GoFundMe fund that he's receiving. All this is on your part, you're doing just the opposite. You're doing the same race game and race baiting as other people are doing on the other side. And we should sit back and wait to see what the trial and what the results are and accept it. But again, we can play the race card both ways.
Explain to me why this guy has raised $500,000, but every other black person that murders someone, as long as they're also black, they don't get to raise any money.
Yeah, they can raise money if they had the.
But they don't, do they?
To do so.
How much has the Wilmer Hutchins shooter got? How much has that Wilmer Hutchins shooter raised?
I'm about to answer your question, because this case is not as clear-cut as many people make it. You have a kid who was, by reports, were invited to a tent. Another kid who did not participate on the track team told him, by the police report, to remove himself from the tent. And then he physically got into an altercation with the other kid. Now, whether or not the twin brother got involved, we don't know that. But I'm willing to sit back and see what the results are. But those conditions right there, yeah, people going to say, let me donate money. Will I donate money? Probably not. But I can see why other people would. Why people gave money to Kyle Rittenhouse.
So Kyle Rittenhouse was given money because we actually had video that we had already seen and knew that he was an innocent guy. We also have a lot of people who were happy with seeing someone actually stand up for these neighborhoods that were being destroyed by Antifa and BLM. There was a larger movement of dozens of riots that were going on, where billions of dollars of small businesses and lives and families were being destroyed every weekend like it was some sort of hobby. And in the one time when some guy stands up for himself and he shoots 3 people who attacked him, 2 of which are weren't like 2 of them pedophiles and one of them was a domestic abuser. I mean, they tried to kill him. They were armed. He got hit in the back of the head with a skateboard. That last guy pulled a gun on him before he pulled the trigger. And so, no, we don't see much of a connection here between a guy who was literally defending his life and another guy who stabbed a fellow human being in the heart for grabbing his arm.
Then the same guy drove at least 30 minutes to go to an area late at night where he could have stayed at home as a 17-year-old. He had an AR, then he have an AR, and then he shot 3 people. And the other guy, I mean, regardless of fact, before I forget, by the way, you guys bring up criminal history, and questioned the parents. First of all, you said that because the mom doesn't have the same last name, that he comes from a broken home. Then you find out, no, indeed, he has two parents at the house.
No. But it's not his biological mom and dad. See, you're doing the same obfuscating.
He has two parents.
Listen. You
allow me to say this, and you go ahead because this is your show, and I really enjoy listening to you. You don't check. Like you do in the past with Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, you check their parents' background. How about you check the Metcalf dad background? Because I heard that he has a criminal history as well. But you guys won't mention that, too.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about him because his kid didn't stab another kid in the heart. That's why we're not all suspicious.
And Trayvon did not shoot George Zimmerman, but you guys still checked his background.
Trayvon Martin beat him, attacked him first, initiated.
How do we know, sir? How do we know? Because he's in his neighborhood walking home.
Because that's what was adjudicated in court. Because we already had the trial. We already had the due process. We already know. Trayvon Martin attacked him. Trayvon Martin was beating his head on the concrete. We saw the wounds to George Zimmerman's head when he got to the police station. We know George Zimmerman was in a fight for his life. We already know that. He didn't just have his arm grabbed. And on the two-parent household, pay attention, Isaac. It's not the fact that they have two parents in the household. It's the biological mother and father. It's not, and it's single parent household, but it's also step parent households. It's the number one predictor for abuse in children. It's having a step parent in the household.
What do you think is the number one predictor of there being child abuse in a home?
An absent parent.
Very reasonable answer. And so usually in lecture one, when I'm teaching an evolution psychology course, I'll ask this question and I'll start putting all the students' answers. And they're all reasonable answers. If there is alcoholism in the home, if one of the parents had been abused in their past so that they mimic that behavior onto their children, then all reasonable. Well, what if and by the way, no one guesses what the real answer is. The number one predictor is 100-fold more predictive than anything that's on that board. So let me explain what 100-fold means. In science, when let's say you have, I want to check the efficacy of
Let me skip through this part to the end.
Anything we would typically, well, the number one parent in the family, Stephen, I've kept you in suspense long enough, is if there is a step parent in the family. So there's 100-fold increase in child abuse if the home is not made up of two biological parents.
There it is. There's 100-fold increase in abuse if the household isn't made up of two biological parents. Can we have that conversation? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. If you're just joining us, you may want to put on your shoes because we're walking on hot coals in here. It's a very touchy subject. There was a very touchy press conference that happened about noon our time. Karmelo Anthony's team hosted a press conference, and it was held by a local black activist, Dominic Alexander. So this whole thing, we've just taken unleaded gasoline and thrown it on a fire, and it's just blown up. Race cards are flying everywhere. Now we've got to deal with this whole specter instead of it just being a calm, let's do the due process thing. No, we're headed toward riots, I guess. Is that what's next? 800-288-9227. Chris Denton, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Yes, sir. I had 20 years law enforcement experience outside New York City and northern New Jersey. I crossed paths with Al Sharpton several times without incident. This guy is modeling himself after that, and that's a dangerous situation. One thing I noticed in the press conference, Metcalf was very calm, cool, collected. But what he did not say,
Metcalf?
They tried to remove him, Metcalf. What Metcalf did not say.
Oh, well, you're talking about the dad being there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What Metcalf did not say was the first time I asked him to leave was, put your hands in me and find out what happens. They were intimidated so badly that they needed him removed because in fear that he might say something and ruin their whole press conference. They're going to do this, I think, a couple more times with situations that may arise or may be in their imagination.
So Dominic Alexander stressed that there will not be another press conference. There will not be another press availability. They are not doing this again. This is sort of a one-off thing. We're going to let due process run its course from here on out. But you're predicting, Chris, that there's going to be more?
Yeah, that's a tactic that Al Sharpton used. We had a shooting in Teaneck, New Jersey, and the downtown area was set on fire. Police cars overturned. I was there, and he did a couple more after that. So.
You know what? I believe that. I believe that, Christopher. I appreciate you calling in with your law enforcement expertise. I appreciate that. Thanks, Chris.
You're very welcome.
Next up, Al Garland. Hey, Al, what's going up in the land of Gar?
Everything's fine. But now, even if we take this family at its word that none of that money was spent on their new residence or automobile, if my son is fighting for his life, who's got time to go car shopping or shopping for a new residence? I'm spending every minute of every day trying to make sure my son is okay.
Well, that's if it's true. I don't even know if they really got into a new house or they got a car. I was kind of hoping that they would address that directly instead of this indirect garbage that they tried to pull at the press conference. Why don't you say we didn't get a new house? We didn't get a new car. They didn't say that. They said we haven't used the direct funds from Give, Send, Go on a car or house. Well, okay, but did you get a new car or house? Because money's fungible. If you knew you were going to come into $500,000, maybe you would go ahead and get that lease on the Escalade, or maybe you go ahead and move into that bigger new house. And the problem, I think that a lot of us are making the connection here is your son's life is on the line. Do you not value another human being's life in that family more so than a car or a house? Or, oh, I get it. This is how this kid is able to stab another human being in the heart. He doesn't make a connection to the value of a human life across other bodies. This is an empath almost here.
Well,
is that the right word? An empath?
These folks' legal team, they are PR idiots. I would tell my folks, keep a low profile, don't buy anything. We're not buying anything. Here, take my car. Come move into my house. But we aren't, and I saw pictures of an Escalade. It could have at least been a Prius. I'm a black man.
Could have got like a 2016 Corolla or something.
Right.
I hear you. But they don't actually refute the charges here. They say, well, we didn't spend that Give, Send, Go money on private security. Right. The family didn't pay for that private security. So you're telling me you got private security. That's what you tell. Somebody's spending money on it, and they're not doing it out of altruism. Anyway, Thank you very much, Al. You're making great points. Let's go Aaron in Garland, also in Garland, staying in Garland. What do you think, Aaron? Aaron?
It's Karen.
Oh, Karen.
Yes, I had a couple points to make. Number one, I thought it was very interesting that she never really said she was sorry to the other family. She did have that one small sentence about her heart went out to it. But a couple points that I wanted to make was in the opening statements from the activist, he mentioned the ISD and how they probably shouldn't have had the track meet because of the weather, which I thought was
Oh my God. Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that.
I definitely did. And for those of you who didn't, he's like, I got another question. How are you going to have a track meet knowing the weather's this bad? There's the reports. You can go look up how bad the weather was. I know. So if it's raining at a track meet, I guess that's a stabbing, Aaron or Karen.
I guess so. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting was the mom's statement. There was actually a phrase in there where she mentioned the Metcalf brothers and her son, which I think is laying some of the ground for the self-defense because they're going to claim that it was the 2-on-1.
He got jumped. There was a physical altercation. Yeah, yep. So that's a stabbing. That's a stabbing. Someone tried.
That's a stabbing.
Yeah.
I miss the days of fistfights. I grew up in that era where it was fistfights. Everybody walked away. You might have bumps and bruises. You walked away. Nowadays, you can't have a fistfight. It's somebody has to die because you don't agree with something they say or something they do, and it's just ridiculous. But I thought that those points were kind of interesting, especially the one about the ISD. They also mentioned when he said about the press conferences, he said he wasn't going to have any more press conferences except for trial, but he also mentioned that he was going to have press conferences because of the ISD.
Oh, yeah. So you know what? Good catch. Good catch. He did say that they're going to continue pursuing that because one of their grievances, if you're just joining us, is that he's been expelled from school. And that's not fair because he's just a couple months from graduating and he has a great GPA. And you can't ruin a kid's life just because he gets a little stabby at a track meet. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Karmelo Anthony's press conference got a lot of people set off. We'll continue talking about it on the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Quick update here. They're just having a press conference on the Florida State shooting campus, and they've upped the number to 2 killed. There was 6 total injured earlier, and I think now 2 of them are deceased. So I think that means 2 dead, 4 injured. Terrible situation there. We'll keep you updated as we start to nail down more solid numbers on that. But we're talking about here locally the press conference that happened with Karmelo Anthony's team, Dominic Alexander, who's a known entity to quite a few of our all-day listeners here. Let me play another little clip here that's getting a lot of comments here. He invokes, he's played the race card here, but he also invokes the fact that he's a minister, which is kind of icky, sort of
we
sus.
We have not attacked. We have not shared the information that was shared with us about Austin Metcalf, because we respect the dignity of life and loss. And as a minister, I would not attack a grieving family, even if I disagree with them. When I have stood before this podium for people who have died at the hands of law enforcement, I have asked for that same manner of respect. And even when the shoe is on the other foot, I will not do that. And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family.
Oh, he's talking about the dad of Austin Metcalf. If you're just joining us, you don't know the backstory. Before the press conference, the dad of Austin Metcalf showed up. He was asked, could you leave, please? He's like, no, this is a public event. I'd prefer to stay. And so they had to have the police escort him out. And who made that comment earlier? In fact, was that an email about that? Or no, was that another? Here it is. This was on a Facebook Messenger. When they asked the Metcalf dad to leave, when they grabbed his arm and asked him to leave a place where he wasn't invited, did he stab anybody? Did that happen? 800-288-9227. This is Donald in Mineral Wells. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Donald?
Well, I just think that in today's society, there is no humility in these situations. There's no personal accountability. Throughout this whole thing, everything I've heard on it, the young man who did the stabbing, his family, none of them have made any kind of statement about how sorry they are for the situation, that it was an accident or anything like that. It was just automatically go to defensive maneuvers in order to divert the attention away from the true thing. Was, he acted in, I guess, passion or intently did that on purpose. And it's being deflected on all points. He shouldn't have had a knife. He shouldn't have had a knife at a track meet. All of this, none of that matters. The fact is in the instance that he felt like he needed to diffuse that situation, he pulled a weapon. It could have been an ink pen. It could have been a 16-penny nail. It could have been anything. And he made the conscious decision to take another person's life. And that's what everything is being, I feel like that's all being overlooked at this point.
And your theory, how is he capable of such things? Was he just born a psychopath? Is he a kid who has had a traumatic upbringing and it just manifested itself in this act of violence? Or do you have an opinion?
Man, I've raised 4 kids. I'm a stepdad in 2 different relationships. I treat them like they were my biologicals. I don't think there's any way that I would have done any different. And in all of my kids, I've always taught them, when you do something, right, wrong, or indifferent, there are consequences. In the cases where you're doing something wrong or you cause harm to somebody else, the consequence of that is you're gonna get punished. And I see every day my kids do stuff and they're like, I don't understand why I'm getting punished. And from my point of view, all of the kids their age, high school kids, they're not taught anymore that if you do something wrong, there are consequences.
Well,
and
look,
they're not going to be good.
some of them are, but look, I like taking the parent angle on this because when I put myself in that seat, I think the ideal moral thing to do, if that was my kid, if Carmelo Anthony was my kid, first off, turn him into the police. I would be apologizing profusely to the family. I wouldn't go out and admitting guilt. I was like, let's let this self-defense claim play out. But if it doesn't work, you're going to go to jail for 30 years, and that's what you deserve. And it breaks my heart. But you killed another person. You ended a human life over a pretty trifling provocation. And so, I mean, do we as parents, do you really have the ability to just turn your kid in like that just because it's the right thing to do? It's real easy for me to say, kind of hard to criticize the family for doing a full-throated defense and, you know, leaving out some convenient facts and maybe chasing some rabbits. Like, what about the weather? You know, so I'm real hesitant to criticize either family because both of them are going through it right now. But that family did create someone who's capable of homicide, whether it was justified or not. I don't think any of my kids, God, I hope not, are able to take a knife and see another human being and say, I'm just going to put this right in your chest. Right?
And that was, that's the thing is, you know, it was, and I'm assuming an accident. I don't know. It was we don't know those.
Yeah, I don't know. The accident's kind of hard to fluff off. It's got to be intentional. That's a kill shot through the ribs in the center mass.
That's the thing that got me throughout the whole thing is the likelihood of that being an accident is not likely. Just from the way, and you know, in most situations, if you're going for that target, there's only one outcome that you have in your mind.
Agreed. We all see that. We all see that. Some of us are pretending to not see that. Some of us are donating money to that. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Adrian says over here on Facebook real quick, the house and the car seem to be really funny timing for the situation. That's if they did rent a new house and if they did buy a new car. I've seen the rumors floating around. I don't think it's been confirmed because not a whole lot of people are reporting it, just internet people. But it says, the first thing I would do when my kid is murdered, someone is run out and buy a new car and a new house knowing that I'm going to have big attorney fees. Not suspicious at all. I know, because if that is true, that's pretty damning evidence on this is a family that does not value their fellow human beings like the way the rest of us just assume they did. Pat sent in a Facebook message. Did the mom ever think her daughter is scared to sleep because the son lives in the house also? Yeah, you know what? Probably so. And look, I'm sorry your daughter is uncomfortable sleeping at the 13-year-old daughter. I really do feel sorry for her. Such things are the consequences when you raise a son that's capable of killing a fellow human being over being in the wrong seat, over getting your arm grabbed. When you raise a kid that can plunge a knife into another child's heart, the negative consequences that reverberate through your family aren't going to get a whole lot of sympathy from me. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Our top story today, Karmelo Anthony's team hosted a press conference this morning, and they did not quieten things down or lighten the load, or they threw gas on the fire big time. And I haven't even got through all the audio cuts. Let me squeeze in one more before we get back to the phone calls here. This is Dominic Alexander. You probably know him from some of his other hits, like, I don't know, maybe the cops being murdered at the BLM riot in Dallas a few years back. But this is what he had to say today.
Okay? What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting nonstop about this case. It is outright disrespectful. We haven't been doing it. The Next Generation Action Network has been here, popular and unpopular. So regardless of what's going on, that was disrespectful. Disrespectful. And I will leave it to y'all to define it. But of course we want to.
All right. And y'all don't have to send me emails or Facebook messages about how poorly he conjugates his to-be verbs. That's not part of it, because if he had poor conjugation and was saying things you agree with, you wouldn't say that. So just stick with the meat of what he's saying here. We're injecting politics. You're injecting race into this. Did you inject politics? He brings up Trump at the end. He is hijacking and exploiting this death to further his political activism career. Because all this guy wants to do, his currency is being on TV, and he got it. All he has to do is go out there and throw the race card on a story that definitely doesn't deserve it. Have a press conference where he can be up at the forefront and talk about how great he is and as a minister and all this. This is what he wants. In fact, well, it'd be even better for him if he could get people so upset that they rioted. And if he could make even more news and be on even more channels, and maybe be on MSNBC and CNN, and that's what he's aiming for here. He's not aiming for justice for Karmelo Anthony or for Austin Metcalf or for just the blind, impartial, ethereal concept of justice. This is a PR stunt for Dominic Alexander. 800-288-9227. And he's using racial division to accomplish it. Samantha in Dallas, thanks for hanging on. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Samantha?
Well, I'm just disgusted at how everybody's so sympathetic to someone who took a weapon to school and intentionally used it against someone else in a most aggressive, hateful way. And, you chose to take a weapon to a school event. These kids are conditioned every day to, weapons are not permitted at school or school events. So he knew what he was doing. And he could have cut Metcalf, in a way that would just be like a warning or something. But he aggressively targeted vital organs.
Bro, all he had to do was show the knife, and they would have left him alone. Yeah, so the stabbing in the heart, totally unnecessary, and an escalation of force, which, depending on your interpretation of the police reports, it's not that long of a read. It's 11 pages. I read the whole thing from Frisco. The one witness said that he grabbed his arm. Another witness says he pushed him. Now, a lot of people are reporting that he shoved him. But, I mean, what even is a push? It didn't say he pushed him and he lost his balance and fell over, or he pushed him and he even moved. We don't even know how hard the push is. So, I mean, what we should really be doing is waiting for the video to come out and before we render our final judgment. And I think most people are. But these people certainly already have their minds made up. And I think they've seen the video. So this is going to have a whole nother taint on it once the video comes out, because these words that he's saying now, and if he's seen the video, and if it has on it what you and I think is on it, then that makes these words even more sinister. All this race card and bringing up Trump and bringing up, previous existing tensions in our society, exploiting that for your own personal gain. This is a guy who's either pursuing justice and doing a really bad job at it, or he's intentionally exploiting the situation for his own personal gain. Great stuff, Samantha. Thank you. Andrew Mesquite, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
So this narrative that you and other callers are saying that how can a parent raise a child that is capable of taking another life?
Yes.
And my pushback to that is you don't know what your child is capable of until they do it. You can be raised up in a good household. I'm going to just give you a real life example. The shooting over in Florida. Ask those parents, did you raise a child to go out and shoot? And their answer is going to be, no, that's not how we raise whoever this person is. So this narrative of how can you raise up a child, you don't know what your child is capable of until they do it. And the thing about it is, we don't, like you said, we don't know how all the backstory. We don't have the footage, right? If somebody is not, and I'm not saying it was a mistake, but to a certain extent, I don't think the 17-year-old has been trained or knows you have to put this much force, you have to aim on this part of the body in the upper.
Bro, he stabbed him in the heart.
Right.
He stabbed him in the heart. He stabbed him center mass in the heart. You don't have to have Navy SEAL training to know that's a kill shot. And listen, on the bad parenting thing, listen to me, man, Andrew. On an individual level, what you were saying at the beginning is right. This may not be an issue of bad parenting. There are 2% of human beings that are born as empaths, either sociopaths or psychopaths, and no amount of good parenting can fix that. I've also seen in my own personal, albeit anecdotal experience, how a family can have 3 boys, 2 of them turn out great. The same parents, same socioeconomic background, same schooling. 2 of them graduated college. They make more money than I do. They're well into the 6 figures. Another one's sitting in jail right now. So, sometimes good parents can have a bad apple. But if that was the case, then you would see that smooth out across all the races and demographics here, and you wouldn't have the disparity in crime statistics. Like when you see, if you just take the males, white males age 25, 54, 24 out of 100,000 of them will commit a homicide. For black males age 18 to 24, it's 206 per 100,000. So we're getting into the realm of that's not just a roll of the dice here. Something's going wrong in the kid raising process in some of these communities.
I don't agree with that. First of all,
what's your explanation for the disparity in numbers?
Well, let's dig a little deeper, more, because what you all fail to realize is the majority of violent crimes that's committed is committed by white males.
Not true.
In America.
Not true.
That is absolutely
no,
true.
you're repeating a misinformation. Listen, that came from the Anti-Defamation League. I already know what you're talking about. And when they say the violent extremist killings, they whittled it down to 25 killings 2 years ago, where you could nail down that these people did it based on hateful racism. And when you're talking about 25 people, you also are bringing in the fact that they counted like the Buffalo shooter in that, and who was like an eco-terrorist and wasn't necessarily motivated by race as much as he was motivated by the fertility rate of non-white people. Anyway, I got to go. We got to do a news break. I appreciate you calling in, just out of time. I'm James Parker. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Top story of the day, Karmelo Anthony's team hosted a press conference. Dominic Alexander was at the forefront, and he was standing representing the Next Generation Action Network. So this thing already got political. There's already a racial angle on it. And damn it, we didn't want to have either one of those. We didn't want politics or race to be a part of this. We just wanted due process to run its course. And now we're not allowed to do that. Now we have all kinds of other activists and people who are coming in with their prepaid opinions and pre-made opinions. And now this whole thing just got really ugly. We heard from the mom, kind of heartbreaking there, but not as apologetic as you would have hoped. There's still the rumors floating around about the car in the house that they tried to dispel, that they sort of sidestepped. And this is a mess. This is 800-288-9227. If you want to jump in on the conversation. He had mentioned an influencer at the end of that press conference. We may be having her on the phone coming up in the next segment. So stand by for that. This is Alfred in Denton. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Alfred?
Yeah, this is the first time I listened to your show.
Oh, welcome. So you love it.
And I'll tell you what, all I hear from you is a lot of innuendos and a lot of making statements that you haven't even verified.
Like what?
First of all we know is you're making decisions based not knowing all the facts. Nobody really knows all the facts other than there was a stabbing. And based on some of the information that has come out, there was two brothers. It wasn't just the one brother, okay? They're twins, and they both, from what I understand, they both attacked Karmelo. So he was defending himself. And
all right, hang on. Can I go ahead and pause that?
There had been a previous altercation.
Can I go ahead and pause you right here before you get to the previous altercation stuff? So I read the police reports, and it's only 11 pages. The other brother didn't even see it. The other brother wasn't. Not only was he not attacking him, he wasn't even facing that direction when it happened. He didn't see his own brother get stabbed in the heart. That's according to other eyewitnesses, and that's according to the statements he gave police. So these people who are telling you both of them attacked him, if you really read in the police report, a couple of people said he touched his arm.
Read the police report.
That's fine. I'm just telling you.
There's still some investigation.
Okay, hang on. So I read the police report. There was a witness that said he grabbed his arm. There was another witness that said he pushed him. So that's all we have. This whole attack escalation, as far as your verbiage goes, is quite dishonest. And whoever's telling you that, you need to go back and start discounting everything else they've ever told you in your entire life, because they are passing along rumors, and they are the ones. Hey, they may be proven right, but where's the evidence for that? I haven't seen that, and I've looked for it, and I actually took the time to read the police reports. So
we don't need you all condemning a young man that was protecting himself. That other Metcalf should have kept his hands to himself. That's what his parents should have taught him.
So if someone grabs your arm, that's a pretext for killing them.
If there was a previous altercation and Karmelo was afraid of him,
so that's a yes.
He had already had an altercation with him, and he felt.
Define altercation. Define altercation. Did they?
I don't know.
Did they get into a? Did they get into a fist fight? Did they get into another fight that previously included life-threatening weapons? Does an altercation means they exchanged tense words? You can't just throw out altercation. Well, if they had an altercation before, hang on. If they had an altercation before and someone grabs your arm, I still don't think that's a pretext to plunge a knife in his heart.
You know what? I don't care what you think. You know what? You're not Karmelo, and you didn't know what he felt. He might have felt his life threatened, and he had the right to defend himself. And as far as you're concerned, his parents should have taught him to keep his hands to himself. That's the truth. If I know somebody might come over and do harm to myself, you know what? I'm going to defend myself. I don't care who it is. So don't try to make it sound like this young Karmelo what's the word I want? He didn't have a right to defend himself. He did.
Man, I have a hard time believing people like you exist. I'm very glad you called in the show.
I have a hard time believing bullshit.
He said, hey, did you hit that? All right. Did you get the dump? Okay, we got it. We were doing so well. Why'd you have to cuss, Alfred? I just stopped talking for there, and I was going to let him just keep going. I cannot believe that some people say if someone grabs your arm, you can plunge a knife in their heart. Totally justified. Well, you don't know if there was an altercation before. I don't care if there was 10 altercations before. If someone grabs your arm, you don't kill them. Unless you're like in the Tet Offensive in the middle of Vietnam and someone sneaks out of like a hole and grabs you and starts pulling you in a booby trap, maybe. This isn't the Dirty Dozen. They were at a Frisco track meet. These are children in high school. Oh, you should teach your kid not to put his hands on someone else. Well, I'm also teaching my kids at some point, people are going to make physical contact with you. Refrain, resist the urge to take their life in the most personable manner where you put a knife in another kid's heart. Wow. Shame on you, Alfred. You're a sick dude. That is not cool. I really hope 98% of the people listening disagree with your side, and they're with me on that one. And look, let me just go ahead and get it out on the record. How about we not put knives in each other's hearts? How about that? How about the guy who stabs the other guy for getting touched is probably in the wrong? There's going to be a little more need for a justification than, well, maybe they had an altercation before. He was attacked by two brothers. People get attacked by two people in high school all day, every day. There's people getting in fights in high schools all day, every day. This guy pulled out a knife and stabbed another one in the heart. You can't go, woo, that's wrong. Or, hey, that's at least close enough to wrong that I'm not going to have a full-throated defense of the court of public opinion by calling the biggest talk radio station in Texas and show the world how easily I will excuse evil as long as it fits my
If you're defending yourself.
Wait. He's still there. I can't let him back on again. 800-288-9227. Maybe Sarah Fields, the guy that Dominic Alexander mentioned at the end of the press conference, the influencer, the conservative, whatever, that was posting. He had printed out some of her tweets and was holding them up. I think she's going to be on the show next. Stick around. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I tell you, out in Bug Tussle, the tiny little hometown I'm from, when I say we all know each other, it's kind of comical sometimes. There was, toward the end of the press conference, Dominic Alexander, the guy that was heading the Karmelo Anthony team press conference today, started holding up tweets that he had printed out from social media, and he targeted one influencer in particular, journalist probably is a better word for it, Sarah.
I'm going to show something up of a post. You come for me, I come for you. Sarah Fields. Never heard of this woman. This is the kind of despicable things that led to the father being here. Political operatives motivating this family with hate. Karmelo Anthony posted on something that shows, posted here. These are the type of lies that are threatening this family. Posting the family's picture.
Oh, not a
These
picture.
are the type of lies.
Not a picture.
She's getting millions of views.
Pictures are lies now, y'all.
On this. Sarah. She's even came after me. I asked, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy.
Yeah, enough of that. And the racist bigot herself is now on the James Show. Sarah Fields, how's it feel to be part of the press conference today?
That, to be honest with you, that was pretty wild. My jaw dropped and I had to gather myself. I was not expecting that at all today.
So why would you lie about Dominic Alexander on social media, Sarah?
My goodness, I don't know. There's so much documentation that I guess I fully edited, took hours to edit by myself. And, AI is crazy these days. Man, he's angry. He's angry because I exposed him for who he is.
So I think most people may have heard of this guy, but don't realize his backstory. Can you give like the 30-second summary of what you found out about our friend Dominic?
30 seconds is really hard, but I'll try. My investigation basically started into his organization called the Next Generation Action Network Foundation, which is a BLM supporting 501c3 that he's actually owned 5 or 6 different ones that have been named similar the same. And he bounces from 501c to 501c because he does not keep track of his financial records. And he's filed records twice since 2014 with the IRS.
And you're supposed to do that every year. It's fun that you were focusing on that. I figured you would focus on, the going to prison and getting convicted of other crimes and then breaking your parole violations and going out of state without telling your parole officer and things like that.
So I did, actually. I did go into that.
Oh, you got that too? Okay.
Probably. Yeah, which is what also angered him. I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different photos of him, mugshots, where he caused felony injury to a child in 2009. It was a 2-year-old that he caused brain injury to. I have where he forged a check. He led police on a high-speed chase in 2009. He has gotten in trouble for car theft, falsely claiming that his car was stolen. Offensive physical contact. He has violated his probation multiple times. Theft of property, robbery, felony assault causing serious bodily injury in 2019. Another misdemeanor assault in 2019, violence against family. I actually looked into that further, and it turns out that he actually attempted to strangle his girlfriend. Another theft, making a false report, evading arrest. It goes on. And I did put out an exclusive of all that, plus, the fraudulent organization that he runs.
Right.
And I guess that angered him to the point that he felt the need to mention me today in his press conference.
All right, Sarah, I'm only going to bother you for one more minute because I know you're in the middle of something right now. But one thing where he did push back against some of your reporting is he was saying, well, we haven't used any of the Give, Send, Go money to buy a car or rent a new house. We haven't even gotten access to that money yet. But he never says we didn't rent a new big house or buy a new car. What's your response to that?
Well, he did. They did. The family did purchase a new car. They are renting an $800,000 home. They don't own it. They rent it.
But did that
from
start
Indian
since
investors.
this in the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Wow.
See, the thing is, they say that they do not have access to the funds yet, but you can make decisions based on, well, I will be receiving these funds eventually. Not to mention, I would also like to point out that a lot of people are saying, oh no, they've been in this home for a while, they had this car for a while. Okay, if this is true and they were living large like that, let's just say it's true for a minute. Then why did they tell the judge on Monday at the bond hearing that they were hard up for money and that they needed the bond lowered? And then, because they said they were so hard up for money and they were hurting so bad, they didn't even cover the bond amount. A bondsman is actually who volunteered his own money to cover the bond. They didn't even pay for it.
All right, get back to
Because
taking care. We're out of time here. Get back to taking care of your kiddos. Keep an eye on these guys, and you big old racist bigot. We'll have you on future shows to keep track of this, because I think we made a new friend. He didn't know who you were before, but I don't see any reason why Sarah Fields and Dominic Alexander can't be friends after all this. 800-288-9227. Your call's next, people on hold. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. That music is way too cheery for this topic. Oh my God, I almost feel bad doing it. Yeah, let's go right waiting from the stars to fall into race war. James Parker here on the James Show. Top story, Karmelo Anthony's team had a press conference. Dominic Alexander from Next Generation Action Network turned the whole thing into a racial, political mess now. And it looks like they're not trying to pursue justice as much as they just want. Do they want another summer of love? One more clip here before I get back to the phones.
And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm going to say this again, and this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day.
Yeah, what does that have to do with this? What does that have to do with what happened at the track meet in Frisco? 800-288-9227. This is Jorge, Wichita Falls. Thank you for calling in WBAP. What do you think, Jorge?
I'm glad I was on hold a long time, because I tell you right now, I was really upset when I first called. These guys are just milking it, you know. People shouldn't be hateful like that. And it's something that we got to get over.
Well, he says you're the hateful one. If you're not on his team, you're on the bad one.
Well, I tell you what, I've got Puerto Rican friends, and a lot of them are black. And over there, you can say mi negro, and it's love, you know. But here we don't have that, you know. But the reason I'm really calling is because I'm sick and tired of you guys making all these idiots famous, whether it be the mass shooter, whether it be that punk in Frisco or that punk wherever. I don't even know their names. I don't care to hear their names, because you guys are making them famous. You guys are idolizing them, and you guys are milking on them. It makes me sick. You shouldn't give their name out so they can raise money for them. You know, that's my feeling, sir.
Should I give him like an avatar, like a fake name?
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever makes you happy. Yeah, I call them punk. That's what they are. Little punk kids is what they are.
Well, you know, I have a similar criticism for not just me, but the rest of the media here. Like, why does this killing get so much more attention than other ones? Why does the mass shooting that happened at Florida State today, and it's a terrible tragedy, but why does it get, like, there was a mass shooting in Conway, Arkansas on April 13th. So that's just what, 4 days ago?
Because
2 people were killed. 2 people were killed. 9 people were injured. Now, why isn't that a national story?
Because y'all love pushing. It's not just you. It's the liberal media pushing the black and white issue, trying to divide us. And you know this. I know this. Why can't y'all pick up on that and just drop it? And just, they're punks. If you're doing something like that, you're punk. And quit pushing the story. It's freaking annoying, man.
But Jorge, I didn't bring up the race. Dominic Alexander brought up race. I'm responding to Dominic Alexander. Well, if someone plays the race card, look, if someone calls you hang on a second, if someone calls you a racist or a Nazi, you don't think you should like push back against that allegation? You don't think you should refute it?
I'm going to give you a good quote, and I love her. It's my girl, Dana.
Okay.
Go tell them to go pound sand. I could care 2 trucks.
All right.
I don't care.
Well, I feel a little differently about that. I'm tired of living in a world where we have to pretend like it's Mississippi burning 1949 or whatever. And my kids are always painted as like the evil ones and all these stories. And look, I can ignore it. What happens when the downtown starts catching fire? Can we talk about it then? What about when the political activists on their side of the aisle shoot and kill, 5 or 6 Dallas cops? Can we talk about it then? How many people have to die before it's okay to talk about it? Christy, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. Your thoughts?
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to point out that the rumors going around that he was bullied. Of course, it's a rumor, but since when is that justification for murder?
Yeah, I guess that's a stabbing. Yeah, I guess that's a stabbing.
Wouldn't all school shooters that say they were bullied be justified?
They're coming up with any justification because it's a tribal approach. You heard him say it in the last little soundbite. Community, we got to stick together. A community that sticks together can never be divided. Well, what if the guy who matches my skin tone is a murderer? Do I still stick by him? According to Dominic Alexander, yeah. The most important thing is not the content of your character or whether or not he should have stabbed the other kid. It's can someone with our skin tone get away with it? And that's sickness.
Yeah, no,
and I have no problem calling it out. And I don't care what Jorge says. I'm going to call it out as long as I have a microphone in front of me.
I'd like to know what your listener Alfred had to say if the school shooters were justified, because he felt it was purely justified because he touched him.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Someone had. Yeah. Here it is. Kristen actually wrote me a good Facebook message about Alfred. She says, I would just say to Alfred, if Karmelo was so scared for his life and bullied, why did he go sit in their tent? Why not sit in your tent? Yeah, if you're so scared, right? Why are you in their tent? If these two guys are just picking on you and so much so that you fear for your life, why would you go to their tent? And the quote that is in the police report, touch me and see what happens, is not what a scared person says. That's a pretext for an escalation of violence. Oh, I'm out of time. We'll knock out the rest of these calls. Coming up next, I have one line open, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. The Karmelo Anthony press conference, just gas on a fire. We'll finish it out next on The James Show. News Talk 820, WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're continuing the reaction to the Karmelo Anthony's team. They hosted a press conference this morning, or kind of at around noon. Nothing but your reaction for the rest of the show, because we got a lot of people lined up here, and some of them look pretty good. Bill, Dallas, you're on WBAP. What do you think, sir?
Well, I think, man, geez, it's a bunch. So with race, as far as race is concerned, America's like race ready. As soon as something happens, it's like we wait to see what race, and boom, whichever side comes at the other side about race. It's irrelevant for me with this one. I'm a black guy.
We can tell.
So, my initial call was about the parenting part, and there's this lack of fathers in the house, not necessarily they're not involved, but in the house for sure. It kind of runs side and side with, say, I hate to say it, but say women's rights movements, the late 70s, black marriage decline, like pregnancies increase, prisons for blacks and all that. Okay, so we get here today, and you have a ton of kids who don't have, say, the courage to ball their fist and fight, so they take a gun, they take a knife. They are the kids that tend to be bullied and shoot somebody. The point I'm getting to is this. The lack of respect for life has been driven through everything from the movies to video games, politics, rap music. It's a disrespect for life.
Can I? My initial reaction to that is white kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids. They're all listening to hip hop these days. We're all watching the same movies. We all have access to the same TV shows. I think there's something a little more ingrained than that, and this guy has a stepfather in the home, Karmelo Anthony. So it's not the absence of a male figure in the home. It's that you find out your biological father's not in the home. The first decision that he made in life is that your life is not so important that he's going to stick around for it. And actually, since you are a derivative of him, it's just life in general is not something that once it's created, you go nurture it and you go take care of it and you go build a fence around it and you go protect it and provide for it. No, life is just a thing that's happened. You meet some girl in the club and you exchange some bodily fluids. Oops, there's a life. And if that's the value of the life that you're taught by your father not being around, that explains a lot of the numbers, because the numbers are also that doesn't match. When I talk about how you're like 30 times more likely to end up addicted to chemicals or 10 times more likely to end up in prison if you don't have your biological father in the home, the one anomaly to these statistics is kids that don't have their father because he died. So if your mom's a widow, then you don't have the father, but you were never abandoned. And so I'm starting to think that there's some sort of just that first primal abandonment that has the ripple effect in adulthood that has people not valuing life. And some people like to put that in abortion or violent crime or drug use or prostitution or any of these other things. But there's something weird going on, and I think that's something we need to pursue far more than looking at the color of people's skins. This isn't a race issue. This isn't a problem with the black community. This is a problem with the born out of wedlock community.
Right, and that number, that percentage is huge in the black community. And
Over 70 now, over 70%.
I got 3 black boys, and I tell them each day before they go to school, hey, man, make good choices, because you get to make your choices, but when it involves someone else, you don't get to pick the consequence.
All right, Bill.
And
I got like 8 more calls in only 2 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, sir. Good stuff. Sean, Roy City, go.
Hey, James. Hey. All right. So if this boy was being bullied so much so that he thought needed to bring a knife to school to defend himself, what happened to the adults in the equation? And I'm not talking about just the boy's parents. I'm talking about the teachers, the principals, everybody around him.
That makes you're putting way too much thought into this. If he really was being bullied, that he needed to bring a knife, he wouldn't go sit in their tent. If he thought there's a mortal threat to his life. Yeah, and the quote of "touch me and see what happens" is not the quote of a scared man.
But I mean, outside of that, if his defense is, I felt I was afraid for my life. I was bullied. I felt afraid for my life. I needed to defend myself with lethal force. Okay? Doesn't matter what he used. Lethal force. Okay? If that's his argument, it falls apart. Did you seek help from the adults around you? No. Then you weren't being bullied, because there's so many other outlets for him to get help, and he didn't.
Man, I can hear how upset you are, Sean. You just must have been over on hold getting fired up. Man, I wish you could see. My phones were completely full the entire show. I'm leaving 4 good calls on the table, and I'm so sorry I couldn't get to all of you. It was a great show. Not a fun one, but one this conversation needs to keep happening and spreading, and we'll get through this. Things are getting better. And I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but things are getting better. And this will all go away. It's something we'll laugh about in 20 years. Remember when we went through that little racial tension in the 20s? I'm James Parker. Stick around. Mark Levin's next. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.